This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Please be aware I am not a medical expert, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. Hey everyone, welcome to the Eat, Explore, Love podcast. I'm Ashley. This podcast is based off of my blog of the same name, Eat, Explore, Love. It talks about the unique challenges in traveling around the world when you have celiac disease. Due to sort of popular demand, I decided to also record a podcast to delve a little deeper into my travels and the lessons learned along the way. Hi everyone! As we approach the end of the year, we are also approaching the end of Season 1 of Eat, Explore, Love, the podcast. It's been a wild ride with lots of adventures to share. We are taking the first few months of the year to regroup and figure out our next steps, and the Eat, Explore, Love team would love to hear from you. We have a couple of ideas brewing, but we want to hear from our listeners to see if there's anything that would be helpful for you. We're looking for any type of feedback ranging from, should I look into getting a co-host? Would you like to be more of an active part of the podcast where I interview you guys about your favorite cities? Would you want to hear from more medical experts, travel experts, self-love experts? If you have any thoughts, we want to hear them at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. We at Eat, Explore, Love appreciate all of your support and kindness in listening over the past year. That's 130 episodes that you've sat through and listened to. I've been so lucky to not only be able to go on all the adventures I've been able to experience, but I've been so lucky to have all of you to share this with. Make sure to sign up for our newsletter and send us an email at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Now, back to the show. Hi, everybody. It's another episode of Eat, Explore, Love, the podcast. Now, whenever I have a guest on, I always ask them at the end of every interview the same series of 3 questions to be answered in a rapid-fire fashion. It's not always actually answered in a rapid-fire way, but we try. One of those questions are, when you go on a vacation, do you prefer to relax or be active? Most people answer a combination of both. For me, if I had answered that question a couple of years ago, it would have been to be active. But then I realized I needed to have a little bit of a balance, like most people talk about when they answer that question. Now, on this visit to Bath, I learned exactly what my preferences are for vacationing, and I'll talk a little bit about my transition into having that nice little balance that we all like to talk about. Here's this episode of Eat, Explore, Love, the podcast. I only have one recommendation for eating, and that is the real Italian ice cream while you're staying the Roman baths. I really enjoyed it in the UK, and honestly, that was where I had the best gelato ever. Not in Italy, but in the UK at that ice cream shop. If you are able to go and visit there, please let me know what your thoughts are. Would love to hear them, but that's the one recommendation I have for this city. On this tour from London, we did a Windsor Castle, Stonehenge, and Bath tour. It was really fun. Windsor Castle, I should say, and the Roman baths were a lot of fun. For me, Stonehenge, not so much. I can only sit down and look at rocks for so long, but it was all really cool to see nonetheless. So highly recommend that if you are visiting London that you do a day tour where you do all of those stops, because it's very much worth it. As I said in my intro, this was the trip where I learned I need to be on the go all the time. I do not like sitting and staring at scenery for too long. I think that's why I would have a hard time in the countryside of Ireland, although I would find it to be absolutely and completely beautiful. I think I could only do that for a day or two. It's also why I had a hard time on my trip in Denver. Beautiful scenery, loved looking at it. I can only look at the mountains for so long. Same thing on this trip where we spent not long enough at the Roman baths, but we spent a long time at Stonehenge, and the rocks weren't moving or going anywhere. I was able to understand the magnitude of what it meant to have these large rocks in the middle of nowhere, and the positioning that they were all in, and how did they get there. And I did not need 2 hours, though, to sit there for that. So to have that, revelation and wonderment at that moment. So I need to be on the move. With that said, because vacations are meant to relax, I didn't like the feeling of coming back from a vacation and feeling like I needed another vacation. So that is what started the whole thing of I plan out everything, but then also leave a little room for magic, where I have one activity, maybe two planned a day, and then I spend the rest of the day relaxing. So that's where that balance came out. I do think balance is important. I do not think I would be able to handle a beach vacation where I have nothing to do but relax. I really want to. I really wish I could, but unfortunately, that's just not how I'm made up. But that's, how I manage to balance and go on vacations here on out, and all the things that you learn about yourself along the way. And I'm lucky enough that I've gotten to travel enough to learn about myself and how to best travel around the world, or even just this country, or even to just another city. But yeah, that's all I've got for this week. Here are the wrap-up questions. Do I feel the city is safe for those with celiac? I wasn't there really to be able to see. The city of London certainly is. Favorite place to eat? The Real Italian Ice Cream Shop, I suppose. Favorite memory from the experience, I think, was just all of experiencing Windsor Castle. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. Is this a city to vacation to or live in? There are people that live there. I think it's just nice to visit all of those places, though. Is this a place to relax or be active? Relax. How were the people? There's a lot of tourists, so I'm not really quite sure. And those are this week's wrap-up questions. See you next time. Thank you for joining me this week for all the fun journeys and lessons learned on my big adventure called life. For more information on the different cities discussed, check out the blog posts on hieatexplorelove.com, posted every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Until next week, remember to eat well, explore the world, and love yourself. See you next time. This episode is produced, scripted, and edited by me, Ashley. Special thanks to Sarah Mientka.